So, The Flash is back. And, well, of course, it picks up where the last season left off with the, well, not necessarily the death of Nora, but her ceasing to exist, which, hey, how can they even remember her? Well, it's just her timeline ceased to exist. So, of course, Barry and Iris could at some point have a daughter, but she wouldn't be that Nora. Even if she looks like her, it won't be the same Nora. So that Nora they got to know and love is gone. And all they had left was this little recording that Nora made in case something went wrong. And of course it did. She said she loved them and all that sort of stuff. And, well, at least they had that, to remember her and all that. Well, some weird surge destroyed the little chip that had the recording. And, oh, damn, we don't even have that. And so they're grieving, but they're trying to move on with their lives and whatnot. And it's actually, it seemed a little too happy because they have a little family get together and all this sort of stuff. Maybe that went a little too far. But at the same time, her stepmother now tells her, even though technically they keep saying they'll see Nora again when she's born, but no, they won't. But still, she says you have a right to grieve this daughter that you had all too briefly. So anyway. So, grieving is quite the theme of the show. Caitlin has a friend who his mother had died of cancer, and he's determined to find a cure for it, and it appears he already has. But, of course, what he needs to make the cure work is dark matter. So, and Caitlin says, no, I'm not helping you with that. It's too dangerous, and he's all upset and mad. So, of course, his grief will lead him into supervillainy, obviously. And so that's the setup for him. Meanwhile, the threat for the episode is some guy develops a machine in his garage after collecting a bunch of items from a junkyard, and it inadvertently opens up a black hole, and this does something to him. So I guess he has black hole powers or something, but meanwhile, he's sort of in a coma, but all the while, black holes keep opening up all across the city. And at one point, Iris wants to get the costume that she briefly wore when she had flash powers, and that's the costume that Nora eventually wears when she comes into her own. And so she wanted to keep that, but her father had thrown a bunch of stuff out, and it was in one of the boxes. So she goes to the junkyard, and one of the black holes opens up, and it sucks the costume out. And she's, oh no, she doesn't even have that. And but eventually, the plot revolves around, of course, Vibe, who's no longer Vibe, Cisco, comes up with a possible solution of where they can resolve the problem, and without having to kill the poor idiot who caused all of this. And so, of course, they do in Flash. Some pretty spectacular shots. I mean, a lot of the CGI, there's scenes where there's this mystery going on where different versions of Godspeed keep showing up. And each time the Flash catches up with one of these Godspeed guys, it's not the real Godspeed, but when he tries to question them, their only response is some weird, sound, like dial-up sounds. So somebody's doing something to it. So that'll be another ongoing thing, But obviously everything is leading up to Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is apparently a plan by Warner Brothers Total to include nods to all of their DC properties, including the movies. So, of course, there'll be guest stars from previous shows and all that sort of thing. Hopefully they've got a narrative that's pretty good, because this is what the entire series of The Flash has been building up to. He's always had that warning that he's going to disappear in the Crisis. And of course, with folding and collapsing timelines and time travel and the Flash manipulating time repeatedly, the date kept changing. And so now the date is December of this year. So it's coming for him. And of course, in the original comic book series, Barry Allen the Flash died in that series and was replaced by his nephew, Wally. So, until they brought him back. Well, timelines. So, I imagine at some point he might even be able to get Nora back, probably, or something like that. But, and considering that his show is the most popular of these CW shows, I don't think he's going to die in this. I think Arrow will, because Arrow this is it. This will be his last season. So it's not looking good for Arrow. So maybe the Flash was supposed to die, but time will change again, and then he won't. And so that's how they'll fix that. But all in all, a good show. This is a good team. This is a good crew. How the hell they're able to do just a fairly decent show. There's nothing spectacular in this one. The performances are good, but that's not to say that the other CW shows don't have good actors. They do. It's just the stories and the plots are terrible. Oh my God, they're not well served by them. It continues to baffle me how the Flash can exist the way it is, and from this same crew. But it does. And this is after watching Batwoman, which is, of course, its only hype is, leftist nonsense. And in reality, it's just a very drab and boring show. But this one wasn't. There's a reason why The Flash is the most popular show they have. Now, of course, all these CW shows, if they're on another network, would have been canceled long ago, because the ratings are terrible for them. But that's CW. How does CW stay on the air? I don't know. but for a CW show, it's pretty good. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how that works out. There's other little stories. Of course, Vibe doesn't have his powers anymore. I'm wondering, what's going to make them come back? I'm sure it will. And then there's Caitlin. With the Caitlin, the Killer Frost story, I never quite liked, because I don't recall it, that the Killer Frost had a split personality and all that sort of thing. And I just don't like it. But they're continuing with that. And so now, Killer Frost needs to have more time in her own life and all that, but they're the same person. There's only one body unless they can do some magic to split them in two. But so there's that, and a nice simple return, and of course leading up to the big event, which hopefully will do better than the previous ones, because all the crossover events for these CW shows are just awful. They're terrible. And I'm hoping they've got something down pat for this, because this is the big payoff for the Flash, even though it looks like the Flash will continue beyond it. So yes, the Monitor appears, and it turns out the surge that destroyed Nora's little message chip wasn't the black hole incident. It was the Monitor himself, and he's coming to tell the Flash that, sorry, buddy, but in order for billions of people to survive, you must die. And then there's, precursor, and of course the Flash forward. You've seen some of the trailers and whatnot for the season where the Flash sees billions of worlds and possibilities, and something terrible is coming. And I'm assuming that something terrible is the Anti-Monitor, which is the double or opposite of the Monitor from the Antimatter universe, and that's what's the threat to the multiverse. So, if they follow through with that, I don't know why not. And that's the big villain coming along, and the Flash will realize he'll have to make the ultimate sacrifice to save everyone. But something will change, and he won't have to. And Green Arrow will die instead. Because in the previous one the Monitor he seems to know that Green Arrow's days are numbered as well, that he'll have to make a sacrifice or something. But at the same time, he's telling Barry, you got to do it. So, what does he know? By the way, Monitor, the Monitor doesn't survive the Crisis on Infinite Earths either. So... don't be so smug, buddy. So anyway, again, it's the best of those shows, which compared to those isn't saying much, but it's actually a pretty good show, and it's the best they're producing so far. The DC Universe shows with Titans and Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing, they show promise and potential, but for the most part, no. And Flash still, just being consistent, beats all those as well, even though in some instances you can argue they're better from time to time, but ultimately, overall, The Flash is the best they've produced. And how? I don't know, because it's all pretty much the same people producing these shows under, what's his name, Greg Berlanti, so how does that happen? I don't know. But anyway, there you go. The Flash Into the Void. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you.